Hello, Matilda.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to Julia and Matilda's Greatest Knits. And we are back faster than ever.
Yeah.
Before. No, not quite. But
if you're not impressed, I'm pretty impressed. Actually.
I'm pretty impressed. It's still spring. It's still the same season as when we were last.
Still have the same length of hair.
Yeah.
It's also quite new.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you for staying with us. We are two friends who work and knit together in Amsterdam. We don't work anymore together, but we live close enough.
Yes.
We sometimes.
And we knit together.
And we do. And we are here today to talk about what we've been working on, what we might be working on in a different time, place, reality, our fantasy knit. We'll also talk about what's been inspiring us, and we'll cover a favourite 3 at the end of the show.
Yes,
So
exciting.
Stay with us. But Julia, tell me, what have you been working on?
I have been working on, last time I showed this scarf, I think it was in the last episode. I made the wave form for Line Magazine, and then after that I also made this little shawl, which is actually kind of like a piece of the wider shawl. It's the same method, it's the same yarn, Isagar. And somebody said, why don't I make a small version of the waveform? And that's what I did, and that's become the wavelet. So
it's gorgeous.
It is, it's the same kind of, it's like a chevron.
But off-center, which is...
It's off-center, exactly, which is fun to knit. And I just really like playing around with that effect of these increases and decreases on a garter. And I like a garter edge, so the ripples of the garter stitch are also on the edge. I experimented with doing the waveform has like these 2 waves, and I tried that out, but I found that looked too squeezed into a small space for this small shawl.
Okay.
And I did want a more narrow shawl so you could wrap around it your neck.
Yeah.
And then maybe tie it in the front. I like that I think it's a really garment that really works well.
Very versatile, and it's in this sort of, the Sophie scarf.
Exactly,
Sophie
the tiny shawl theme.
Movement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's having its moment.
And I'm writing down the patterns for these 2. Maybe I'll make a third one. For an idea of how you could do that a little bit differently, and then I'm going to publish it maybe as a bundle. We'll see.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Very nice. And I see you're also in your Tiki sweater, which we talked about in the last episode.
Exactly. I got the sample back.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really
Squishy and
squishy and a nice. Yeah, I like stripes. I can't ever get enough of stripes.
it's the classic for a reason.
Yeah, and I can still wear it, but it's going to be too warm in a couple of weeks, days.
Yep.
So I try to wear it still.
Yep.
And I got the same pants as the model has.
You were influenced.
I thought it was a really nice combination.
Styling. Yeah.
The white pants, and these were from Uniqlo. That one expensive, so
Easy.
that was a good one.
Nice one.
Yeah. I did a little thingy as a palette cleanser. I knit with a palette cleanser, something in between projects. I made this little... We tried to find a word for this.
We decided it was going to be a button charm, I think.
It's something that you put on your collar underneath, maybe that you could put it somewhere else, but I saw it on Pinterest and I thought it was such a fun thing to use up your stash. I'm going to take a different picture. This is just the loop stitch, and I thought it looks really nice.
Yeah, and it just looks very chic, very well put together when you've got your crisp button-up shirt and your little
it does. Yeah.
Thing.
It does, and it's like an eye catcher. It's like a
Very
little
nice.
knitted accessory.
Yep.
And
Love it.
Apart from that, I started to write a Substack or articles
Like a
on
newsletter.
Substack. Yeah. It's something I had on my mind for a while. I'm doing a little bit of research for workshops that I'm going to give on making your own knitting patterns.
Fantastic.
And designing your own garments. And I thought, just as a way how to structure the thoughts and to see how far I've come in the collection, I start to write little articles on them. So
Beautiful.
you can follow that.
Yep. There's already, 3 articles up there to read?
Two. How about you? What have you been working on?
Well, I am still going on my Hella sweater. That's been keeping me busy. Oh, it's a bit tangled up. Okay, my Hella sweater. So
you've made the...
finished the button band and I'm onto the sleeve.
Yeah.
And not button band, the hem. And I need to give the hem a bit of a block, but it's this folded over stockingette hem, I think, which I've changed your pattern a little bit or reinterpreted.
It looks really great because you're making a crop version.
I am making a crop version, exactly. And I wanted, I mean, you've got the beautiful folded collar, and so I wanted something to sort of repeat that motif again, and I'll do that on the cuffs as well for the cuffs. And it was I was not really paying attention when I started the hem, and I made it a little bit more difficult for myself than I needed to, because when you do this, you knit, or you do it in ribbing, a panel, and then it's twice as long as you want it, and you fold it over, and you sort of seam it shut. I usually do it as a bind off. I bind off with the beginning stitch. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really paying attention when I started, and I did it on the wrong side.
But it happens easily with that sweater, right?
It does happen easily with this sweater, because you knit the sweater inside out so that the brioche increases for the raglan are sunken. Yes.
Yeah, it's the same way as this one's done,
okay.
Actually. The testers, they went crazy. Which one's the right way and what's the wrong side? And well, it's the wrong side while you knit it, but then it's the right side to
when you wear it.
So it's difficult to explain. Yeah,
but it looks so good. So I understand why you've made that design choice. Anyway, so I did it on the wrong side. So it was a bit tedious to do. I had to pull each stitch through to the...
So you cast it off, you bound off by knitting it while you were knitting it against the...
No, I didn't bind it off. It was live stitches on the needle. So,
and then you...
And then I pull each live stitch through to the back side, and I then with a crochet hook, and I used that crochet hook to chain stitch the live stitch
as a
closed as a bind off. So it's a crocheted bind off.
Oh.
And it worked really well. I'm really happy with it. It was just a pain to do.
We'll show a close-up because it looks really great.
Thanks.
It might be worth the effort.
Yeah. I'm really happy with it. And I kind of think it is worth the effort, but it was,
The funny thing is,
harder.
We talked about it, it looks like a sewn-on hem.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because we don't like sewn-on things because it's not fun to knit.
No.
We like seamless knitting nowadays. And then you imitate something from a period that was before. You have the new kind of knitting, which is seamless knitting from the sew together.
I always think about having that fake seam stitch when you do a sweater in the round. I often, if it's a stockingette body, I'll often do a seam stitch. Yeah. It just makes it hang better for some reason.
Yeah, and it looks nice. Yeah, which is really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks gorgeous. Absolutely smashing.
Thank you. And I'm really happy with it. And it is also going to be too warm to wear when I finish it, unless I finish it at my usual pace, and then it will be just right. Because it will be autumn by the time I'm done with the sleeves, and then I'm not.
And you'll show it here.
Yes, of course I will. Of course I will. And then the other thing that I have done recently to keep my creativity alive is I did a bookbinding workshop yesterday with my husband, which was a rare moment without the 3-year-old. We
really nice idea to do something like this together.
Yeah, and because my husband's a photographer and has published his own book, and he's really a big nerd about the publishing and bookmaking industry. He's coming at it from like this not completely handmade perspective, but this sort of higher end production perspective.
You made a beautiful book that we'll show here as well.
I can't not promote it.
No, okay. Seriously,
because my storage at home is full of these books.
That too, but it's also really a gorgeous book. And the bookbinding of that book is also really
he put a lot of
neat
energy into those decisions, and as anybody who makes their own book does, I think, you know, it's unless you go into this process, you don't really understand what goes behind all of these decisions.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a bit of a side quest. So yeah, we did this really lovely bookbinding workshop just at the local library, and it was a free workshop. I can't believe it, and it was this
so nice.
really fantastic. It was great. So I highly recommend, you know, checking on what's on at your local library.
Yeah.
And it was a lot, you know, it was a lot because it was sort of this, it was supposed to be an hour and a half. It ended up being nearly 2.5 hour workshop in Dutch. So we were doing a lot of like mental work as well, but it was really nice to end up with this gorgeous little notebook at the end.
Yeah. And you took that home.
Took that home.
And it was completely free.
I think so. I mean, Darren signed us up. I'm pretty sure it was free.
Wow.
Yeah. But Julia, what would you be knitting if you weren't making your scarves and your little button charms, your stub stack?
Yeah, exactly. What would I be knitting? I would be knitting the polka dot cardigan. And it's by Midori Rose.
Oh, Midori. She can do no wrong.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love
think
everything.
Every time she releases a pattern, it becomes one of our fantasies.
I'm sorry, but it is. She's just so great. And this one is
she's also
really,
a lovely person.
She's so sweet. Yeah, she's really sweet. And this cardigan is also just so, you know, so simple, but yet really great. It's it has little holes. It's kind of like, actually it's like a lace work. Probably yarn overs and decreases.
But it's not lacy.
It's not lacy at all. It's more chunky. When I was at Berlin Knits Festival, Mominoki had a stand there who is stopping to work, unfortunately.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah. Or she's taking a pause, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But she had, you have to look, I hope she put it on Revelry, you have to take a look. She had a version that she made with white and yellow yarn held together.
Ooh.
And she made that cardigan with it. Perfect.
Beautiful.
So that's something I would knit. And how about you?
I am deep in love with brioche at the moment, and I have found, just looking at my Pinterest page, that I have pinned about four other brioche sweaters. I don't need another one, but in Fantasyland I would do another brioche sweater, and we were talking about the one I pinned was the branch sweater by Odd Row, which is a brioche yoke designs. It's all over brioche, but it starts as a yoke construction. It's a 2-color, and then you said, "Oh, that's really funny. That is the same as a Rosa Pomar sweater."
Yeah.
And then we ended up finding another very similar design, a CPH sweater by Le Fil du Coeur. So a brioche yoke sweater.
Yoke sweaters are out there at the moment.
Yeah. I think I would do 2-color.
Yeah.
I think I would maybe...
That accentuates the construction.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Maybe a black and white.
Oh yeah, minimalistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah.
And what I really like about the branch sweater is it has this sort of mock turtleneck.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Which is really nice.
Yes, that works really well with the brioche.
Yeah. So that would be my fantasy.
Nice. What's your favorite feed at the moment? What do you find inspiring?
Yep, I have been on a binge listen to the Articles of Interest podcast. I don't think I've talked about this one before, but anyway, it's by Avery Trufelman. She's the host, and she calls herself a fashion journalist, and she's taken a while to come around to that title for herself.
Okay.
She looks at fashion design and clothing design from a sort of journalistic, historical, philosophical lens. So she did the one I've most recently done the deep dive on is her gear season, which she was looking at outdoor wear and how that has been so heavily influenced by the military. Military inspired a lot of this stuff, and vice versa. A lot of military clothing was also inspired by outdoors people, and they were improving on terrible design within what an army recruit was given. And yeah, she's really interested in this interplay between the military and the outdoors industry, and how did outdoor wear become so ubiquitous that you wear your high performance Gore-Tex jacket just to go down the street to buy a loaf of bread, and why does everybody wear leggings as pants now, and all of this kind of bigger question. And everything she makes is just fantastic.
It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, she's a really wonderful journalist. Highly recommend it. How about you? What has been inspiring you?
I have been reading a great book.
Ooh.
A real page turner. It's called Wild Dark Shore.
Okay.
And it's by Charlotte McConaughey. She's an Australian writer.
Oh.
Yes. Can be proud of her because she did a tremendous job. It's not a big book. And the subject it's a really interesting mix of a thriller.
Okay.
So it's really intense.
Yep.
But it's also a science fiction, because it's in the unfortunately not too far future, when the planet has been destroyed completely, and there's only droughts and fires and storms and
okay.
Yeah, it's
so like the climate apocalypse.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's about a woman who gets washed ashore on an island in the Antarctic.
Okay.
Where researchers were keeping a seed vault, a vault where all the seeds are kept of the world in case of this. And she meets a father with his 3 kids on the island. They're the only ones there, and they're the keepers of the lighthouse. And the story is told from the perspective of all these 4 in total personas.
Okay.
And so you get more and more information about what happened there, and the ending is so intense.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't. The thing is, if I start to tell you more about it, only the first 10.
Tell me nothing.
Only the first 10 pages are already so. You'd be giving away information that you get to hear bits by bits. It's a great book.
All right.
So that was definitely my food. Part of our podcast is our favorite threes, and this changes every episode, and it's always quite nonsense subjects.
Yeah.
We started with our favorite 3 teas.
Yeah.
Things we find really relevant.
We have had feedback that it's not knit related, and I don't mind. I think
we didn't mind. We considered that feedback. It's great. We always open for feedback, but we kept going at our non-relevant favorite threes.
Yeah.
And this
is a really non-relevant one.
Yeah, but very close to my heart. It's the favorite 3. Easy home repairs, easy home improvements. Because I've been repairing stuff at the house, and it kept me thinking how what a satisfaction this brings to me. And
yeah. When you mentioned it to me, I was like, I could think of one really obvious one, which I think I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we moved into our apartment 5 years ago, I think, thereabouts. This is not a new build. This is a 70-year-old building or so, and has very 1955 technology, including all of the doors that lock don't have locking mechanisms. It's a hook and eye.
With a little thingy, and you put it in the...
Yeah. So there's an eye, and you have a hook, and you lock it. That's how you lock the door. For the toilet, for the bathroom, that's basically it.
Okay, that's really low tech.
Low tech. And for the last 70 or 68 years, I would say, you had an option of either having the toilet door locked or having the toilet door closed, but you could not have both at the same time because the hook was too long for the position of the eye. So, home improvement genius that I am, I took the screwdriver and moved the eye less than a centimetre to the left.
And I mean, life has been...
Well, it's been a lot more private since then. It means you can have guests go to the toilet and you don't have to worry about...
Don't like say, I'm not coming. You can relax.
I mean, really, it was crazy. So that was my number one.
It's like every time you go on the toilet, you think like, I'm such a champ.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one is unclogging the sink trap in my bathroom sink.
Yeah.
It's a disgusting job to do.
It is, yeah. You always postpone it.
Yep. But it's very, very satisfying when your sink tap runs clear and the water just goes away magically.
Yeah.
I think modern plumbing is one of my all-time high priority gratitudes. Every time I'm thinking things I'm grateful for, modern plumbing is on that list.
Modern plumbing, yeah. Like the plumber is
AI proof.
The saviors. I have some plumbing thing later on.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great thing. Yeah, I share that.
And then my last one is I hope be realized today. The shower head fell off yesterday in our shower, and so my partner or my husband and my toddler have headed off to the hardware store this afternoon to purchase a new shower head.
I can only imagine Thea walking through the aisles of a hardware store.
She loves hardware. I mean, my dad has given her a lot of tools.
Okay.
She gets a new tool every Christmas.
I think he also gave her the genes of the love for a good hardware store.
He loves a hardware store. That make that man happy.
He had a good hack as well.
Oh yeah? Which
one? The one where he has a boat, right?
Yes.
And he has the cooler for his beer can.
Yes.
And he has attached like a, what's it called? Velcro to the cooler, and now he can just push it against the side of the
he puts
ship.
The hooky piece of the Velcro on the ship, on the side of the boat, and then the stubby holder, the cooler is made out of the loopy side, and then when you have to do something on the boat, you just stick your can of beer to the wall.
Or Coke or water.
Yeah. I mean,
but come on,
he's very proud of it.
Yeah, genius. Okay, can I?
Yes, please. You were the one who came up with this theme, after all.
It's really ridiculous, but still. Okay, number one. The other day I was repairing. We have this toilet, the built-in toilet, and the water.
It just runs through.
It just ran through, and you just had to click it several times until it stopped running. And I didn't address the issue because I thought that you had to rip open the whole wall, get out the whole machinery, the water reservoir, whatever, and replace it. So I just too hard, just ignored it and just kept on pushing the button until it stopped running. And then I thought, okay, no, I'm just gonna give it one more try. And I watched YouTube, and please, thank God for YouTube for these kind of things. No hate, no political stuff out there, but just keep on producing home repair videos, people. It's just what it's meant for. Some guy, he put a video out there, and he had exactly the sort of toilet that we had, and I replaced the membrane for the water coming in, and that, you know, it has to have a really functioning membrane to shut off the water, otherwise it could just got dripping in.
I mean, I nod like I know exactly how that works. Yeah.
But you know, I took it off, I replaced it, and now it's just working again.
And you didn't have to pay anyone to do that.
No, you know, the membrane was €7.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So satisfying.
so satisfying. Another one was our oven. When we bought the apartment, our oven, the isolation band was already broken, which means that, you know, you spill a lot of energy, and it also doesn't heat up properly.
Yeah.
And again, I thought we have to replace the whole oven or get somebody here. And then it was a model that was already actually not existing anymore. And, you know, thanks to the internet, I could order only the rubber band, which has like 2 hooks, and then you replace it. And now it heats up above 200 degrees.
2,000 degrees.
It feels like 2,000. And yeah, it just works again.
Oh, so good.
And again, €9. So
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
So that was number 2, and then number 3 was replacing the front lights of our car. Yeah. Again, you can just order the light. It's just a light bulb, obviously, in there. I mean, and there was a video online with the instruction how to open it, and what kind of model of light bulb you have to order to replace it. And that saved us from driving to the garage, and you know how expensive garages are, and that was done.
But I also think, like, more bigger picture, that this makes the right to repair one of Europe's great philosophies. Like, I think we all have the right to repair our things, and this drives me crazy about our phones and our computers that are glued shut and you void the warranty of if you start to tinker with anything. And it's and thanks to the European Union, we now have a law that forces producers to make repairable products. So important. And so satisfying.
Just, you know, now I'm like sometimes thinking, okay, what else?
What else can I do? Well,
I have a little list now.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I'm doing that like very structuredly and disciplined, but you know, you could just look at the list and then pick one.
And then, and this is how I feel about mending as well. What else can I fix up? And I don't feel the overwhelming tragedy when I caught my favorite pants on a nail the other day. And tore a little hole.
Now you can.
I know, but it's something else to fix.
Please share your favorite repairs. We want to hear. I'm very curious. Maybe you inspire me, and I'm open.
Or if you have a favorite source of information about repair, we'd love to hear that too. And thank you again for joining us. Thank you, and hope to see you soon. Bye. Bye. Da 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 da.